Let us begin without wasting much time. This is the time for you. Embrace this moment and this opportunity with an openness. We will start off with Mr. Nikhil Advani. Once he shares his experiential journey, there would be a question answer session, and post which I will hand over the podium to Mr. Abhay Pannu. Samia, please invite you.
Hi guys. So all of you guys are undergrads? All? So I have no idea what to speak for 1 hour. Most of my life has already been spoken about. So I have no idea what to speak beyond that. But yeah, so what to say? I failed the 12th standard. Literally. It was the worst, the most humiliating moment of my life because my father is from IIT Powai. So anything I had done before that and after that also has always been, but you didn't go to IIT Powai. Right? But yeah, so the reason I'm saying that, the reason I want to start that, I think that's where importantly the journey which today, that was in 1989 and we are in 2023. So I think that's where my journey actually started. I mean, before that I was at school, you'd go to school. I mean, I was from Bombay and good school, good athlete, good education, decent marks, all that is all great. But I think the big moment, all of us, and you guys are young now, you guys are going to have some moments in your milestones in your life. Mine was when I failed the HSC exam. I remember it was 2nd of January, and my brother's birthday is the 1st of January. And we were at a very posh Chinese restaurant in Bombay, and there was a guy who happened to be in my class. I hadn't gone to the 11th standard, 12th standard, I didn't attend any class. And we were discussing in the room, in Bombay, the colleges are buildings. There was no reason to go to school or go to college. There was nothing. And it was a Sindhi college. I thought I'll be able to manage. Yeah, what is that? Sindhi. And I met this guy and he said, "Hey, are you ready for the prelims?" I said, "Yeah, of course. When is it?" He said, "Tomorrow." I had no idea. So I failed the HSC. And I remember I cried and cried and I locked myself in the bathroom and I said that my father kept knocking and saying, come out, it's okay, no problem, whatever. And then I got to do something it's called ATKT. Do you know what ATKT is? Yeah. In my college, we used to call it always trying, keep trying. Right? So we had to do math. And my daughter is 16 years old and thankfully she's very good at maths. Abhay is very good at maths. So I had to do math. I did the exams in October, passed, shifted college, went to Xavier's, and that's where my life changed. Right? So it's very important. The reason I think that I also, when I was offered to be part of the advisory council for this college, it's very important for young people like you guys to have the kind of experience that most colleges in this country do not give. 90% of colleges don't give. They give. And I was fortunate that I went to Xavier's where I made lifelong friendships. 30 years later, we are all friends. We all married the girls we were going out with. We did so many things. And it was not about, I passed out as a chemistry major. And I did very well in my BSc. I still didn't get an engineering degree like Mr. Abhay Pannu or my father, but I did very well. And I decided that I'll never ever be in a position where I will have to. I think what we did with. I'm digressing, but it's important. What we did with Rocket Boys is that we showed that it's okay to fail. Because when you fail, you learn from that. You should learn from that failure, and you should become more and more. That's what Dr. Sarabhai used to always say, and that's what Dr. Homi Baba lived by. by those things. So I think that um, for me, the 3 years, the 3 plus 1, 4 years that I was at St. Xavier's College, and I'll come back to why I didn't complete my masters. So I finished my first year masters, and the second year masters I didn't decide not. But they were very important years, because in Xavier's what they teach you is you don't have to go study synthetic drugs and dyes, inorganic chemistry. You don't have to be in the class, as long as you are in some class. My girlfriend at that time, my wife now, she was doing a psychology major. I wanted to spend time with her, so I used to go in the psychology class, and I would sit in the psychology class. As long as you gave your attendance in Xavier's, it was that. I don't know what it is now. It was cool, as long as you attended something, right? But the reason, what I thought was, I was spending time with my girlfriend at that time. It allowed me to learn and understand psychology, which when we are writing scripts, and when we are writing taking when we're talking about character graphs, and we're talking about character history, etc., um, it's a very important thing. So I didn't even know that I knew things about psychology when we discuss characters, and when we discuss story, and when we discuss uh, uh, but those are the things that I think, when I look back, that education that I had at Xavier's, that I got at Xavier's, was very important. The amount of time that we would be doing absolutely nothing, being vela, what we thought, in the canteen, allowed me to interact with fellow students. And in Xavier's, people would just sing songs. They would, you know, uh, there were groups of, because the best rock bands in the country at that time were all from these young Catholic boys from Xavier's. So they would sing songs. We would tell stories. So all those things actually are very important aspects of um, creating some kind of a holistic and some kind of rounded personality. Uh, Not to say that you know the formal education that we got over there was not important. It was very, very important. Uh, Today, if I can have conversations with like-minded directors and storytellers, and people who are even who are older than me, is because of the formal education that we got. And there was a discipline that was inculcated in us to constantly question. Don't be afraid to question. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. Let me know. Tell me what it is. I think those were important things that we learned at Xavier's. And then actually came the big day, which was about 4 years later, where I was doing my master's in inorganic chemistry. And I realized, what am I going to do? And I'm sure you guys asked this question: where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Why? I said, what am I doing here? Uh, I was I was getting ready to go to University of Colorado in Boulder for inorganic chemistry, and really was my heart in it. And I said, yeah, I failed in the HSC because I spent 2 years just watching every film. I had watched every film that you could watch. There used to be, I don't know, you guys, nowadays everything is about internet and downloading and whatever. In my zamana, there used to be something called VHS tapes. एक VHS tape, हमारे पास एक, there used to be libraries. Shemaru library होता था बॉम्बे में. There used to be Teenage library in Bombay. There used to be Ultrasonic. And uh, I was not a member of either. My grandmother was a member. My grandmother every month used to just try and understand why her membership was getting over, her deposit was getting over, because I was just borrowing. So I used to watch 3, 4, 5 films a day. And I used to write what I used to like about the film, what I used to not like about the film. Later on, I found out Aditya Chopra used to do the same thing. So I decided while I was doing my master's that listen, I'm not going to do. I'm going to try something. And I was lucky that my wife, my girlfriend at that time was Bengali, and she had introduced. It was 1991, 92, and Mr. Satyajit Ray was getting a Lifetime Achievement Academy Award, and Doordarshan, which is something that you guys possibly don't know. Doordarshan was showing all of Satyajit Ray's films. So I started watching. Not that I can ever claim that anything that I have made is even a percentage close to what he has done. But I watched it. And I said, okay, also Xavier's is a little, I don't know whether you guys know people from Xavier's in Bombay. Now I don't know. But in my zamana, it was a little arty. So हम लोग सब कुर्ता पहनते थे. I used to have a beard like this only. In between, I tried to become a little cooler. When I started working with Karan Johar, then I shaved and all that. I tried to become a little cool. Didn't work for very long. It was a little arty, so I decided to go and meet Saeed Mirza. I didn't know who he was. I just heard that hey, Saeed Mirza is a big filmmaker and he's a parallel cinema filmmaker. वो communism और socialism के बारे में बात करेगा वो. And Xavier's is all about communism and socialism. 92, 93 was also a time when the serial blast had happened in Bombay. We had the riot, the terrible communal riots were there, and we had all protested on the streets. We had shut down the campus. We had said we will not go to class. We had managed to rally all colleges of South Bombay to do that. And so it was thoda wo ek ye tha ki we are going to change the world, you know. And so I said, yeah, I should go and meet Saeed Mirza. I went and met Saeed Mirza. And the lovely thing about Saeed Mirza is that I said, I want to make films. And Saeed said, come from tomorrow. And that's where my journey started. So, yeah. It's very important. I mean, I think of course you need to learn. And I wanted to go to the Film and Television Institute, which at that time was going through a lot of strikes and all those kind of stuff. And Saeed, I think, saw something, and Sudhir Mishra saw something, and Aziz and Kundan saw something, and Manjul saw something, and they said, you don't have to go. You know, if you're working with us, it's like going to one class, then going to the next class, then going to, each of us have a different way of approaching a scene. Each of us have a different way of approaching a story. Each of us have a different way of telling the story, the techniques that you will be able to learn. And so I was the only assistant on a show called Nukkad with them. And one day the writers were getting late to send the scripts. So I wrote the script. Then they said, hey, this guy can write also. So I continued writing. I got some more money. And that's how I think for me, that has been so I think one of the big questions was when we were doing a meeting about what the curriculum should be for mass communication I think that of course it's important to learn the basics of filmmaking. I think both me I was an assistant director to these great people, directors, then Karan, then Adi, Abhay has assisted Neeraj and myself, and of course it's important to understand, but guys, the basics of filmmaking you can learn in 15 minutes. 15 minutes mein khatam ho jayega. So what do you do for the rest of the year? 15 minutes. Left say entry, right say exit. This is the axis, don't break the axis. These are when you lower the magnification, wider the lens. Higher the magnification, closer the lens. It's done. I've taught you all. It's done. It's over. You know filmmaking. It's done. It's over. Is there anything more? Nothing. This is what you need to know. And if you work as an assistant and if you're a good assistant, you will you'll pick this up in like, and it becomes like second nature with you. It becomes instinct. You don't even have to think like, sometimes I think that, people are thinking, most people will get very, but how do you not break the axis? You will just know. If the camera is put over there, suddenly you'll just look, no, camera can't go. The camera has to be this side. You're breaking access. Left entry, right exit, you'll know. It's no, if you're a filmmaker, you'll know this. So what is it that you need to do, guys, beyond that 15 minutes? And that is what I learned post failing. I learned to read. I read. I just read and read. First, I started reading my chemistry books. Then I started reading math. Then I started reading history. Then I started reading psychology because I was so interested in psychology. Then I started reading Time magazine and Newsweek. We used to get it all the time. My father was a big this thing of the, then everything that my father had forced had asked us to read, but I had somewhat resisted. I read everything that he wanted me to read. I just read Shakespeare, literature, Hindi, Manto, Premchand, and if you're from Bombay, one of the things that is a big disadvantage, where you have people like Abhay, because when you come from the other towns and cities of this country, the vernacular language is so much more important, right? And learning and reading literature of and going to theater. He went to theater. I mean, one thing that you didn't mention is Abhay spent what, 2 years, 3 years, 1 year in theater. I didn't. So I was at a big disadvantage. I think the one thing that I can tell you guys, and I think that's something that I'm going to try and encourage in the curriculum, is read, is watch films, is ask questions. Say, I don't know how to do this. Why did that person do this? Films like Godfather that were made in 1972 and 75, why are they still relevant today? How are they still relevant today? In November last year, we showed a film. M.S. Satyu made a film in 1975 called Garam Hawa. It's an incredible film. It's an incredible film about a Muslim family that chooses to stay back in Agra post-partition, and is just being blamed for staying back. It's an incredible film. And everybody, we showed it in a packed house at G5A, and lots of people turned around and said that, can't believe it's so relevant even today. And Javed Akhtar was one of the guests, and he said that, we are celebrating that Garam Hawa is relevant in 2023. It's a tragedy that is relevant in 2023. That kind of thinking is something that you guys have to now learn, and that you can't learn by learning about film. You have to read about it. You have to experience it. So the best thing that one can do in mass communication, it's got nothing to do with only films. I think that most of you are doing advertising and public. I wasn't advertising. I did a summer at Indian Market Research Bureau, and I am RB. So I know that all market research is actually bullshit. But anyway, we'll get to that later on. You have to experience. It's very important to experience. And this is the time, guys. This is the time. Later on, you'll be wondering, मेरा EMI कहाँ से आएगा, मेरा check कहाँ से आएगा, मुझे TDS and GST and all that. This is the time where you don't have to bother and just experience life. Travel. You guys have. Abhay was asking. So you want to be a DOP, right? Have you shot something? Why? You don't need it. In my time, we needed cameras. You can just shoot everything on the phone. So shoot, put it up. That's very important, right? Let people make fun of it. Right? Most people made fun of everything that great filmmakers have made, right? And then you learn from that. So that's my journey, right? While I have worked very, very hard in the last 3 decades now, not 2 decades, 3 decades, I have worked very, very hard. And my wife keeps telling me, you're the only person who works hard. Hard work does not pay. I say, but it has paid for us, na? We work very hard. that's what I encourage with every single person who works in our production company. Just work hard, work hard, work hard. It'll fail. It might not do well because none of us can actually predict what is going to do well, not going to do well. Most of y'all today watch films because y'all go and wonder कि ये 100 crore करेगी कि नहीं. Am I right? How many of y'all actually wonder whether the film is going to do 100 crores? Put your hands up. Right? Very few. I'm very glad. Please don't. It doesn't matter. Let me explain to you guys okay. Let me explain to you the mathematics of filmmaking and film production. No film that you are watching has not already made money for the producer, for the platform, and for the studio. It has already made money. So when you are wondering कि ये picture 100 crore करेगी कि नहीं करेगी, it's not important. Go and watch it for the story, go and watch it for the performance, go and watch it for other things. Do not think about anything else because we are not thinking, we have already made the money. हमने already किया, 1 रुपया बनाया होगा, but nobody is going at a loss. Nobody is going at a loss unless of course you're doing some other people's films which I'm not going to take their names off because I get into trouble all the time. But yeah. But yeah, so just watch. When we were young, we would go to watch every film of Amitabh Bachchan. There was no question about it, right? The first time I met Mr. Amitabh Bachchan on a set, as an assistant director, I was working on Mohabbatein. Aditya Chopra went and he, and I had to go and call him from the makeup room, and I said, Amit ji, shot is ready. And he likes to test the assistant. So he said, what are we doing? So I told him what is coming before, what is coming after. I knew everything. So I had prepared myself because I knew that this is what he would do. We were walking from the makeup room to the set, and it's amazing because when you're walking from the makeup room to the set, everybody just stands up. This is Amitabh Bachchan. Nobody's telling him anybody stand up. They just stood up. And we reached there and Adi went and gave him some instructions and we were doing that scene. I don't know if you all have seen Mohabbatein. Have you all seen Mohabbatein? We were doing the scene Parampara Pratishtha Anushasan where he gives the speech. And Adi spoke to him and Adi likes to whisper. So I was trying to figure out what he was trying to say. I want to learn. So I was trying to listen to what he was saying. And he went away and Manmohan Singh was on the camera. And I was the associate director, so I said, Amit ji, your look is left of camera. That's it. I said, Amit ji, your look is left of camera. We finished shooting the day. I went home and I had a big smile on my face. My wife said, why are you smiling so much? And I said, today I directed Amitabh Bachchan. And every day after that day has been a bonus for where I am. So those are the small things that actually will make big impacts in your life. The 100 crore, ye aayega, wo aayega, Rocket Boys 2 will become the biggest show India has ever seen. All those things are, you have worked hard for, but look for the small moments, which are actually the big moments of your life. That's I don't know how much. 40 minutes. I spoke quite a lot.
Before I even start, let me just thank him because everything that I tell you will end up with saying that I learned this from him, I learned this from him. So let me just thank him right at the beginning so that I don't have to keep doing that throughout the talk. Okay, so let me first ask you all a question. How many of you actually want to be a filmmaker? One? One of you or two? Nice. I think I'm the last person you need to listen to then if you don't want to be filmmakers. Okay. I mean, not very long back, I used to be sitting where you guys are sitting today. I was an engineer and I remember being forced to sit in these sessions because I wanted to sleep in my room or watch a film or go out. I don't know. I don't want to name what I wanted to do, go out. Yeah, but I used to find a corner. Since Sir started speaking, I've been trying to find that one corner that I would have sat at. But this room is so well lit. There's no dark corner. So, but yeah, I mean, I used to usually find a dark corner at the back of the room and probably go to sleep. We didn't have phones like some of you people have today, and I could see some people already on their phones. So please go ahead, do this. It's very good. You'll actually learn more from it. I'm not kidding. Not from me. You learn more from looking at your phones. Trust me. Anyway. Okay, then, I mean, what all do you want to be if you don't want to be filmmakers? What all do you guys want to do? I mean, so that I can at least, not repeat what he said and try to actually add some value to this. What all do you want to do? Just give me 2, 3 names. Come on, quickly. Editor, fashion marketing, cinematographer, psychology. Whoa. I should right away walk out of here. I am the last person you should be listening to. Okay. She wants to be an IS officer. Right, no, I will. I'm just trying to lighten up the mood here. I'm just trying to lighten. I in my head, I'm an IS officer, so I'll try to tell them. Okay. So, okay, I grew up, I was born in Jaipur. Then, oh wow, where in Jaipur? Oh, civil lines. Why did I not meet you earlier? Okay. So I was born in Jaipur, but my father moved to Punjab. My father was an engineer with the. How many of you from Punjab? Wow. All right. Okay. Cool. So we moved to Punjab. I was born in 1991, exactly when he started working. So he's been working for as long as I've been alive. All right. So we moved to Punjab. My father worked with the state electricity board. He was deputed at the Pong Dam and the Bhakra Nangal Dam. He was the executive engineer there. I lived in Punjab for 4-5 years. Then when we moved to Himachal, then I came back to Jaipur, and my village is in some other place in Punjab. So for the first 15 years of my life, I was constantly traveling. I'd never lived in one city per se. And the reason why I'm telling that to you is because exactly what he said, that travel, right? I, by default, happened to have a lifestyle where I lived in 5-6 cities even by the time I went to college. So that helped me shape my personality a lot. So yeah, I think one of the reasons why I am here today in front of you and not in that dark corner is because my father and his job allowed me to travel so much that I could actually learn from so many different people. I was a part of so many schools. I could form a new personality, whichever school I used to go to. If the previous personality didn't work, I used to make another personality when I went to another school. So in order to fit into the worlds that I was being taken to, I sort of learned the importance and I learned how to be able to at least tell a story about myself. It also helped that my family loved cinema. We loved cinema. We used to watch films together. I used to have competitions with my sisters to कि ये dialogue सुना ये किसका है? मतलब ये आधा dialogue बोल दिया, somebody has to finish the other dialogue. So I mean, I grew up in a family where we loved cinema. And I don't know if I'm a Sikh I don't look like one, but I am a Sikh. So I don't know if you've ever been to a village. I've spent a lot of my life in a village as well. If you go to a village and you speak to any person there, they are the best storytellers in the world. They are incredible. If they start making films, all of us will be out of jobs. So they are so good at it. Yes, I mean, of course, spending time with them, of course, also helped me maybe learn the craft of storytelling a little bit. And yeah, I traveled, changed schools, made friends, fell in love, had my heart broken multiple times. So I think that also helps, Uns. Anyway, I'm digressing too much. I'm so sorry, ma'am. Can you asked me to tell me my story. I'm going to tell my story this way.
You asked and you said, what's the discipline of this?
Okay, all right. No, I'm telling my story as to what I think has helped shape my personality. So yes, I think my father was an engineer, and he was my hero. He still is, and so that's why I thought that I should also become an engineer now. Though in my head, indar keeda tha ek to go and become a filmmaker, a director, but I subdued it because I looked up to my father so much that I thought, okay, I should become an engineer. Also, from where I come from where that woman also comes from, Jaipur and Punjab. I have this joke saying that we figure out what we want to do with our lives after we finish engineering. So I became an engineer. I decided to become an engineer. Went to a college in Pune, as ma'am said, and I did everything except study engineering. Because that's what you do at engineering colleges, right? If there are any engineers out here who I think agree with me,
I don't think they will going to call us back. Huh?
No, I will hopefully make sense at the end,
Yeah.
like all films in Hindi do. Anyway, at least we hope that they make sense at the end. So anyway, I did everything except study engineering. I was a good student. And I barely managed to pass, but I always had about 380 KTs every semester. And towards the end, it had compounded to about 7 or 8, which I had to clear all at once. Anyway, different story. So yeah, I mean, but the good thing is that when I went to college, I spent so much time, as he said, reading and watching films. Now that I think about it, back in the day, I used to feel that I am the worst person. My family is paying for me to go and study in a college, which is one of the better colleges of India, and I'm spending my time watching films. What am I doing with my life? But I just couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop because the thing is that I wanted to become a filmmaker so badly that I just liked watching films, discussing it with my friends over and over, trying to figure out the importance of Rosebud or whatever. I don't know. We have gone at such detailed lengths about trying to figure out why the director did what he did, why the story was told this way. And those 4 years of my engineering time, that by the end of it, I knew that I'm not going to be a good engineer. So might as well give my position to somebody who deserves. But anyway, the fact that this is back in 2013 when I'd finished college. When I finished college, I didn't know anyone in Bombay. I was from Jaipur. I had studied in Pune, lived in Punjab, lived in Delhi, lived in Himachal, but had absolutely no connections in Mumbai. So I thought that it's not going to be possible. Going to Bombay, at least then, seemed like such a big challenge if you don't know anyone. So I did the next best thing. I decided to be a part of a movie. I was a big fan of the film Swades while growing up. Have you seen Swades? I was a big fan. And I thought that I am Mohan Bhargav. So I decided to become a part of a company that was doing rural electrification. It was an American company. And they were electrifying the remotest of villages of the country where the utility grid hadn't reached. And they were setting up small microgrid plants, solar microgrid plants, which was thereby giving those villages power. And I think those 2 years of my life where I worked with them are I think the best years that I've spent of my life. Those 2 years, I got to see an India that I would have never gotten to see if I had either come straight to Bombay or if I had worked at a different kind of a company. The fact that I got to interact with some of the most incredible people in I mean, yeah, they're the if in order to reach those villages, I had to take a train ride for 8 hours, then sit in a bus for 6 hours, then get on a bike. Then on a bike, I used to reach a river, then cross the river on foot, and then catch another bullock cart, and then reach a village by after 24 hours. There were such villages earlier in India where there was no electricity and they hadn't seen electricity. And just imagine if reaching those places is so difficult, what would the mentality of those kind of people would be? So I think in those 2 years, the kind of people I've met along the way and in those villages has really, in my humble opinion, helped me shape up my affinity to write stories, at least, I believe. Anyway, I worked there for 2 years. We electrified, as ma'am pointed out. I worked there, worked for 25 years, worked for 2 years, electrified 25 villages. And when it was going very well, it was going so well for me, and my family wanted to get me married, I decided to come to Bombay because that was the only way I could have avoided marriage. No, I'm not joking. I really wanted to come to Bombay to become a filmmaker. So yeah, I think then I decided to come to Bombay. I told my mother and my father that I want to go to Bombay now. I want to become a director. I have never told you all, but this is what I want to do. I want to become a director. So my mother's first reaction was कि नहीं तेरे को बॉम्बे नहीं जाने दूंगी, तू heroines के साथ affair करेगा. So मैं कहा मम्मी, I am very happy कि आप इतने confident हो कि मैं successful director बन जाऊंगा, तभी तो affair कर पाऊंगा. So I am very happy that she believed in me. But eventually, of course, my father said, okay, if this is what you want to do, please go do it. I give you 2 years. You don't know anyone. It's okay. I'm sure you'll find a way. Then I came to Bombay in 2016, as ma'am just said. I came to Bombay in 2016, March, 8th March, International Women's Day. Still remember. I remember that because the first house I stayed in was a house which had 5 girls and I was the only boy. So it was a good start to my stay in Bombay. Anyway, yeah, so I stayed with them for 2 months. I was friends with 2 of them. But I didn't know what to do. I had absolutely no connections. Didn't know anyone in Bombay, let alone the industry. Though I never held a camera in my life. Like he just told you, like you have today the ability to become a filmmaker right now. You have the means and the equipment today. I was probably a little late, but in 2016, I just didn't have the right phones and stuff to be able to start shooting, or I didn't know the importance of it then. बस हाँ कि बॉम्बे चलना है, let's go to Bombay, बिना सोचे समझे. So I think that delusion and that stupidity is also very important. Anyway, I came to Bombay, didn't know anyone. I figured out that there was a theatre workshop happening by Nadira Babbar. She is a very renowned actress and she runs one of the oldest theatre groups in Bombay called Ekjut. I'm telling you all of this is so that you all can, the only thing that I can try and tell you today through my experiences is that hopefully I will be able to make you believe that it is possible. If you all want to actually go and do whatever you want to do in life, despite the circumstances, despite the limitations and resources that you have, it is possible. So I'm not saying that I've made it. I've just made one show which has worked. There's a long way for me to go, but at least I have, with the right guidance and with the right mentorship, I have finally managed to sit on this side of the stage. So coming back to theatre, I started doing theatre with Nadira Babbar. We did a 1-month theatre workshop. She liked me, I think, so because she then made me a part of her theatre group. We started doing theatre. I was doing backstage, I was doing music, I was doing lights, I was doing everything. I just wasn't sleeping. I was doing everything other than sleeping. I was there 24 hours a day. And yeah, then somebody who was working at Neeraj Pandey's office, his twin daughters became a part of the theatre group. And somehow I realized this is the right way. I have to catch hold of this man through his daughters. I mean, as opportunistic as it may sound, I mean, that's how it is, right? I mean, when you come to Bombay, right, you have notions of becoming the greatest filmmaker ever, or the greatest storyteller, cinematographer, editor, IS officer. You have the greatest notions about yourself that you will do it. There is not a better director born in India. But you come here and you realize that it won't be served to you on a platter. So you try and grab every opportunity that comes your way. And the one thing that I probably did right was I tried, and I think I successfully grabbed every correct opportunity that came my way. So I don't think that it was solely opportunistic, but I knew that this is a path that I can actually follow in order to go into a production house. So I became good friends with those two girls. They're twins. They were very fond of me. They were very young, so they looked up to me a lot. So they introduced me to their father one day. So I met him and I thought that, oh, this is my chance. This is one opportunity, one shot. Let me try and blow his minds with my charm and my impeccable wit. Didn't happen. But a few weeks later, he was on the lookout for an intern. Neeraj Pandey sir was starting a film. So he was on the lookout of an intern. So those girls came to me again, saying that my father wants to know if you want to intern at least. I'm like, of course, intern, I'll work for free, which is basically interning. So I I met Neeraj Pandey, I went Shivam Nair, and yeah, I got the job. I got the job. But you know, the thing is that there were a lot of other ADs there when I was interning, when I was working on that film. And somebody had some connection, or somebody had studied filmmaking, or had gotten some reference call or whatever. I was the only person, in my humble opinion, who had probably gotten it by his own merit. There are a lot of people now, but it just so happened that in those group of 5-6 ADs, I was the only one who had gotten it there by his own merit and not through by some connections or kisi ne phone kiya tha. So that actually enabled me to shine the most amongst all of them. And by the time the film got over, I was already the first AD on the film, which is very rare. If you know how hierarchy works in the film industry, you become an intern, then you either become a fourth AD, or you become a third AD, then you become a second AD, and then you become a first AD, and then you become an associate director. But by the time the film got over, we got back from Malaysia and we were shooting in Delhi. Neeraj Pandey had fired all other ADs and I was the only one left. So by default, I was the first AD. Anyway. So, yeah, I think then it was only about making sure that once you get an opening, once a door opens for you, then it's only about ensuring that you keep going through the right doors. There are times that you will probably bang at the wrong door and maybe even enter, but that only makes you more that makes you even more capable of entering the other door when that other door opens for you. So yeah, from there I went to TVF. I'm sure TVF is a big favorite amongst all of us. I'm a big fan too. I worked at TVF for about a year and a half. I did a show called Ye Meri Family, in which I played a role as well. Have you seen the show, Ye Meri Family? I'm the bowler. You seen it? Okay. It's a good show. It's actually a good show. It's a well-made show. So yeah, from there I went to TVF. From TVF I did ads. I worked with every person possible. To eventually, when I finally was called for, um, actually I was called for a first AD's role. Um, are you aware of this software called Final Draft? There's a software called Final Draft. Just like Word, we write films on a software called Final Draft, and we make schedules on a software called MMS, Movie Magic. So we use these softwares to write films and to make schedules of the films that we shoot. So when I was finally called for a first film, for a first show as an associate director, the director asked me, "Do you know Final Draft and Movie Magic?" Of course, I know Movie Magic, I know Final Draft, and I didn't even know what it is. So I'm not trying to give you the wrong advice here. The world works on fake it till you make it philosophy. But that day when I went home, I didn't sleep that night. And in 12 hours that night, I learned both the softwares on YouTube. So, and the next day I was a pro of those softwares. I was telling them, aise nahi aise karte hain. So, I think you will, of course, come across, I'm not telling you to follow in my footsteps, I'm telling you what I did. But eventually you will also come across moments where you will probably have to project more than you know, but then you'll have to work probably harder than anybody else to become the person that you just projected yourself as. So yeah, that happened. And then eventually in end of 2018 is when I went to Nikhil sir. I joined MA Entertainment. And yeah, I think then it was only following him, shadowing him. I did everything possible to ensure that I could probably learn as much as possible from him, so that he one day sees the merit in me, that I am good enough to be given a show, which he eventually did. I was assisting him on a show called Mumbai. At first, I did a show called The Empire. We were shooting for a pilot, and I did a short 5-day schedule with him. I think he realized that he doesn't hate me then. So he gave me a chance for another show that we did was Mumbai Diaries 2611. When we did 2611, I think everything that I know about how to take a shot, how to deal with actors, how to just make a show or a film is by him. He's taught me. So yeah, I mean, I can never thank him enough for that. And that's his thing, he likes to nurture talent. He likes to he just gives opportunities to people which is very rare in our industry. The reason why I joined M Entertainment was also because I knew that if I somehow get into under him, in his wings, I will hopefully be able to make a debut very soon. So I also worked at half my salary of what I was actually earning somewhere else. I came and so that because nobody else could take the job, I came and did it. Yeah. So I think that was also great. I mean, the fact that I got to learn from him, worked under him, and then finally on 15th December 2019, which is my birthday, he told me that the only gift that I can give you, Abhay, is that I will produce your next film, your first film. So I think that's the best gift that I've ever gotten in my life. But yeah, okay, the film didn't work out, thankfully, because that film was not a good film at all. It's Sid film. So yeah, the idea of Rocket Boys came about. He was making a show with Sid Roy Kapoor called Rocket Boys. It was about the story of Homi Bhabha and Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. So Dr. Sarabhai being from here. How many of you have actually seen Rocket Boys though? Oh, thankfully, a few. Please देख लो, अच्छा शो है यार, बहुत मेहनत की है. Anyway, so yeah, so we did 2020 March is when we started writing Rocket Boys. COVID happened. We wrote through COVID. We shot through COVID. We, faced so many challenges, but eventually I think, were able to deliver a good show. That's why you've called me. So, anyway, I think the only advice that I can give you today, I have not lived as much as he has. I don't have as much experience as he has. But the only advice that I can give you all today is that if you get an opportunity, just grab it with both your hands and then work very, very hard to honor that opportunity. That's what I have done all my 7 years or 6 years, since 7 years since I've been Bombay, gone to Bombay. The other thing is that we hear this a lot, to be at the right place at the right time. And that is a saying, that is an adage that is used a lot in our industry, to be at the right place at the right time. I think that's important. But what is more important is being ready when you were at the right place at the right time. When I was given the opportunity to make Rocket Boys, by then I had seen, as he said, I had seen every possible thing that has to be seen. Of course, the list is endless, but I have seen so much content by the time. I had read so many screenplays. The one thing that I used to do was watch a film, then I used to read the screenplay, and then I used to mute the film and then read the screenplay with the film. So, of the films that I liked. So by the time Rocket Boys happened, I was so confident in the fact that I will be able to write it myself, because I had put in those number of years in trying to be able to tell him that day कि मैं खुद लिखूंगा ये show. And I think, so just 2 things, guys. Rest, I'm sure you know better. You have incredible teachers guiding you. You have such a huge, well-lit auditoriums. So, I think just 2 things. I mean, be at the right place. When you are at the right place at the right time, be ready when you're there. Be prepared, absolutely prepared. And secondly, when an opportunity comes your way, grab it with both your hands and honor it. Work as hard as possible. And yeah, if I could do it, a person with limited resources, limited experience, limited talent, then I'm sure all of you, with the education that you guys are getting, you guys absolutely can. So please keep at it. Thank you so much.
Now I leave this floor open for the questions, and I'm sure that you have loads to ask. Please do not feel shy. Yes, Param.
I'll be graduating in like 10-15 days. So what I was planning is to get into the same field like you guys are. So do you have any guidelines or advices for amateurs like us to get into the industry?
How do you get in the industry? You can come to the office and we'll take you on.
Perfect, sir. Thank you, sir.
It's a good answer, no? That's the answer you're looking for. Very clever you are. No, but seriously, yeah, I think that I think more and more the production companies that are working now, genuinely working in the film industry right now, are giving opportunity to young interns and young talent all the time. So it's not as if that it's. I don't think that it is as difficult a journey as one had possibly 30 years ago. I remember after I made Kalona Ho, my grandmother turned around to my father and said, "Abhi bahut ho gaya, usko abhi kuch acha naukri dilwa do." You know. So it was not even considered making films or being in mass communication or media and entertainment, and was not even considered a career option 30 years ago. It's very much a career option now. There are courses like this in big universities that are actually teaching you how to do it. So yeah, so I don't think, I mean, half the people that are working in our youngsters that are working in our various productions are from Whistling Woods, and you know, Harshveer is from Whistling Woods, Achint Kumar is from Whistling Woods, Kaushal I think is also, no? Kaushal who was Mumbai Diary, he was from Whistling Woods. So yeah, just come out, you know that classic getting off at VT station and then taking a train to Andheri or Bandra. We are in between Andheri and Bandra, so you can come there.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Param, for the question, and thank you, sir, for the answer. And let me also tell you that sir is one of those very few people who embraces people with talent. He has
I'll have
that
to do this.
absolutely knack, for gauging who is talented, and he just embraces them. And this is contrary to what some people paint in the industry, a debate that we shall not be getting into, that, the film industry is close to outsiders. Okay. So sir is, in fact, he sees the talent and he just embraces them. And thank you so much for that, sir. Yeah. Any more questions? Come on.
So my question is that do you think the next, do you think that the influencers that we see on social media right now are going to be the next good actors that we will get to see in films or your films?
Do you think influencers are going to become good actors?
They, huh. Will we get to see them coming out from directors like you in parts of some films like that?
Well, I think that the fact that they have I don't know whether good actors, they'll definitely become popular actors. They'll be definitely become. They definitely are on the roads of becoming on the journey of becoming popular personalities. Let's put it that way, right? The fact that by doing what they do, they are able to reach out and connect with so many people,
Yes, exactly.
right? Is definitely I think something that is very credible, and it's something that cannot be ignored, right? Is that good acting? I think Nasiruddin Shah is a good actor, right? But is that popular? This thing, yes, I think that very much. I think that that these guys are really cool, and they know what they're doing, and in just the way they put out a post, or I guess, is this real? Is this all this reels and all that? Then I know, then I know something. Yeah, okay, yeah. So they do it all. They're very good. All of them, most of them.
Would you cast any influencer next in your film? Have you thought of it anytime?
I've casted Akshay Kumar. He's an influencer, yeah. In the sense
He
that,
is influencer.
yeah, have we casted? Who?
Bhuvan
So I
Ram.
can cast him. Yeah, I love him. Yeah. I think yeah.
Recently gave out a
Is
good
Veerdas an
series.
influencer? Yeah.
He's not.
Oh, he's not an influencer. Okay.
He's not
Okay.
influencer.
Sorry.
Very weird
Like-
definition.
Yeah. Yeah.
He would, I'll answer. He would love to cast an influencer, and yeah, I know him. He would love to cast an influencer to answer.
They are
your question.
young and they are
Are
cool
you
and they
an
are
influencer?
they can.
Okay. If you are, you can tell him. He'll cast you.
Yeah.
Become an influencer.
You want to
Casted
become
by
one?
him. To be
Okay.
casted by him.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Abhay, my question is to you, and I'm sure that all these kids over here, they would benefit with this question in some way. You made a statement that we need to knock at the right door, the right opportunity. You stressed on that a few times. So, how do you differentiate between right and wrong? And the reason why I'm asking the question is it may be a very big banner. I am looking out for my break. I approach that banner, which technically appears to be right. The company takes me, the film is a flop, और फिर मेरा क्या? So what is right and what is wrong? I mean, how do you juggle with that?
I see, ma'am. I don't think there's anything right and wrong. Of course, I think what I was trying to
Yeah.
say was that you need to constantly knock at doors and take up the opportunity that you get inside that room. Sometimes it will be right, which is okay, great. But if it is wrong, then it is more right than it would have been, because you will have learned so much more through that opportunity that you would have not learned had you just gotten it right the first time. So, in my opinion, all opportunities are right. As long as you can either succeed at it, or if you fail at it, which is a great teacher. As everybody knows this, that failure is the best teacher. So all opportunities are right. Grab all opportunities that come your way. There are times that you will, of course, I am right now at a stage in life where I am very choosy, which I shouldn't be, and I keep getting a lot of scolding from him for that. Yeah, I don't think any opportunity is a wrong opportunity. All opportunities are right as long as you're willing to learn from the mistakes that you make in every possibility.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, Hirak.
What's the difference between filmmaker and a cinematographer?
Cinematographer is a more technical or can be a more technical in terms of collaboration contribution. You need to know aperture, exposure, lensing, the what how to the whole process of right now everything is about the computer does everything for you, right? You don't have to do anything about it. But earlier you needed to know about red, blue, and green, primary colors, etc., etc. There, in terms of the best filmmakers have wonderful collaborations with cinematographers because they are really their eyes. Now today you have monitors which you use for you to be able to see a frame. But earlier, when I started off, there was no monitors. So the director had to completely trust the cinematographer because he's the one who's looking through the camera and he's the one who's basically framing the action. So they had to have a trust, right? So even today, I tend to be very less dependent on the monitor. I like to see the action. I like to be closer to the performers. But see, the whole process is very collaborative, right? As a filmmaker, it is from where it all starts. The voice that you have inside your head is something that needs to translate onto paper, and from paper how it comes onto screen is where you use the various departments, right?
So then what's the difference between cinematographer and a videographer?
Anna,
Videographer.
no difference. Absolutely no difference.
Actually, the question that you should ask is that what's the difference between a cinematographer and a director? Because every person who's working on a film set
He's a filmmaker.
is a filmmaker. Every person who's working on it. I mean, if the cinematographer is not contributing in making the film, then he's not actually doing his job right. Every person, if he wants to be a cinematographer tomorrow, he has to, through camera, tell the story that your director is expecting you to tell. As a director, I am supposed to tell my actors to tell the story that I want them to tell. As an editor, you are supposed to cut the film in a way that it tells the story and it makes the film the way you want it to be made. So everybody who's part of filmmaking is a filmmaker.
When you're saying you want to be an editor, you want to be a film editor, or you want to be what kind of editor? Or a
Like cinematographer. In that way only.
cinematographer is very different from editing, my dear.
But yeah, like film editor.
So a film editor is really a good film editor. You should actually follow the work of a woman who I had the great opportunity of working with. She passed away in 2000. Her name is Renu Saluja. She won several national awards. She edited films like Mirch Masala. She edited films like Jani Vidoyaro. She edited films like Bandit Queen. She edited all of Sudhir's films. She was married to him. So a film editor is actually rewrites the film. So you can get all the footage that the director has actually on the film set shot with the actors and the cinematographer and the sound recordist and the locations and the background. And when the film editor, a good film editor, can see and look at, say, okay, this is the way you had imagined the film and what you've written. This is the way I think that it should be. So literally you go through the entire writing process again in the editing. So it's a very important aspect of filmmaking.
Yes, please.
How do we transition from the particular discipline that we are pursuing to the industry, and how do we stay sane during this very process?
How do you transition?
How do you transition from one discipline that you're studying to another discipline? Like I studied engineering and I
Just try.
became
Not
got
to
to
the
try.
another discipline, but to the film industry. Like I am
Listen, you got to
personally-
understand that what you're studying, right, is not about, I mean, unless you are going to be a doctor, or you're going to be a lawyer, or you're going to be an engineer, you are, when you're studying mass communication, right, the world is your oyster. You can do anything, right? Because basically what you're learning how to do is communicate well with people. What we do as filmmakers, really at the end of the day, all our hard work gets over when we reach the set. When we are on set, whether it is Abhay, whether it's me, I'm speaking on behalf of him, we are only handling people, we are handling egos, we are handling whether it's the egos of the technicians, because every person on that set is coming with their point of view on that same script you have written. Now I can turn around and say, "Maine likha hai yaar," and sometimes I do. Sometimes I say, "Maine likha, what do you mean? I know what I'm saying." But otherwise, and you have to just shepherd people through, right? So transitioning, if you're being if you have to be a doctor, please learn medicine. If you're being a lawyer, please learn the law. Although in this country right now, law is a little, let's not go there. And I mean, but otherwise, anything. Yeah, just you can just, that's what you have to try. I think the biggest injustice that we do to young students is give them the fear of agar tumne fail kiya na, तो your life is over, right? Your life is over if you have failed. Edison failed how many times? 100 times Edison failed before he invented the light bulb. 100 times, guys. Right? Nobody, not a single person who is who you will look up as your mentor, as this role model, has just succeeded. Bill Gates, Harvard, decided to transition. Steve Jobs has never ever graduated. He didn't graduate. I mean, it's a $1 trillion company, Apple, right? So that's the one thing that, I mean, I'll give you an example. We were releasing a film called Chandni Chowk to China. The head of Warner Brothers, the day before the film released, he was test driving a S-Class Mercedes. He said, Chandni Chowk to China is releasing S-Class Mercedes. The day after the film release, he bought a Honda Civic. Okay. It just bombed. I thought my world was over. I'm sitting over here and having a conversation with you guys after we have just made the show that is basically people are talking about. Nothing gets over on that one instant. But learn from that and go ahead from there. Move from there. You can't, the only thing that you owe to yourself, to your parents, to every single person, like Abhay said, that when the opportunity comes, you're ready to take it. How many of you like football? So little, my God. Okay. So there's a big football player who I'm a very big fan of. His name is Erling Haaland. He plays for Man City, right? He said that as long as I'm okay if I touch the ball 5 times in a 90-minute game, 5 times. But as long as that every time I touch the ball, I score a goal, I'm good. So it's not important to constantly, just be ready. It'll come. Opportunity will come, and be ready for it. That's what
your question is, that how do we do it? How to make the transition? Right? As he said,
my question
just
during the
dive into it.
transition
leap of faith.
Leap of faith.
Bas.
Just dive without fearing, because there is no, I mean, I have done it in a way, he has done it in a certain way. You meet 20 other people, they will tell you their accounts of how they did it. But fortunately, or actually not unfortunately, fortunately, there is no fixed pattern in our industry or in our line of work. There isn't. You will have to find your own way of doing it. Whether it is becoming viral on social media, whether it is making a short film that gets selected to Sundance, or whether it is assisting Nikhil Advani, or whatever. The good thing at least today is that there are so many ways of doing it. In his time, and at least even in mine, there weren't so many ways of doing it. Today, there are multiple ways of doing it. I mean, you make a reel, you become viral on social media, write a script, take it to somebody, people want to cast you, whatever. There are you get to write at home. You can today go to your dormitory, go to your room, Actually write a sketch, shoot it, and put it up. It is as simple as that today. So there is no fixed way that ये करना है या फिर FTI जाना है या फिर NSD जाना है या फिर बाहर न्यूयॉर्क फिल्म अकेडमी पढ़ने जाना है. I think all of those things are, in my opinion, at least anyway, redundant. I have learnt everything on set, on the job. I don't have any formal education in filmmaking. I learnt everything on the job. So, to answer your question honestly, just do it. Just do it. You will fail, maybe you will, and that will be good. That will be good. The fact that you're sitting in such a great university today, I'm assuming that you have at least the time and the confidence to fail 2-3 times. Fail, yeah.
Yeah, you see a girl that you're really you're attracted to.
It doesn't work
Right.
with girls, by the way. Huh?
I'm just telling you. So you don't know whether she is going to reciprocate, but you go for it, na.
That
It-
we'll talk
it-
about later, by the way.
It
huh?
it might be crash and burn, but it might just happen. Pata nahi hai. Right? So yeah,
And if you
if
figure
you can
that
do
out,
that for such an important thing, what is this? Yeah, इसमें क्या है?
but do you try though? Have you tried that bit? Have you tried? You succeeded? So, bhai, what is the problem then?
Yeah, you succeed in that. उसमें तेरा सक्सेस है. ये तो
Got
कुछ
it.
नहीं है यार. ये तो आएगा इधर. ये तो सब हो जाएगा. Yeah.
Yeah. So a very good morning to you, sir. First of all, I would like to thank you, and I would like to express how glad we are to have you all here. So after listening to all of your stories and from the background you come from, where it was a very different background and you pursued engineering, you were into pharmaceuticals and medical and stuff like that, where you had no idea you would be doing this stuff in the coming nearing future. So I would just want to ask that what was that realization point when that that moment that, oh, I want to do this, I don't want to pursue this, and I have to get into something else, like this thing what you do right now. And also, had it not been your mom marrying you and you going to Bombay, and had you not been meeting Said sir and him calling you the next day for the this thing for the job, would you still think, would you be here if that had not been happened? Because me personally, I'm pursuing English majors, English literature, and I can't tell you how many times I've had the second thoughts that if I should go on doing it, or is it for me, or is it not? So I just want your advice on where is that realization point coming from, where you know when to listen to your heart.
It's a very.
I,
You are truly an English honor student, huh, by the way. That answers your second question. That's such a good question. So, okay, I will just answer for myself. The first question: when does that realization come? Right? I was working. I was doing very well. I think I was living in a 4 BHK house in Gurgaon all by myself. Then I moved to a 1 BHK house with 5 girls, but that was better anyway. Anyway, sorry. To answer your question, I think the day I decided to do it, and I'm sorry, I don't want to sound so macabre, but I was not happy with my job. 2 years I was working there. I'd worked there, and I was doing everything possible. I was living in Delhi by myself. I was not very happy with myself, or because back in my head I knew that I wanted to do this. I think I called up my father that night, and I told him that, Papa, if I die tomorrow, nobody will know that there's a guy called Abhay Pannu. Nobody would remember me. And my father was very wise about it. He said, "To kya ho gaya? I will remember you. Your family will remember you. you have touched so many people's lives, they will remember you. मैं- but that, okay, that calmed me down for the moment. But it actually, the thing is that the day I realized that every filmmaker, in my opinion at least, comes here because he wants to be remembered long after he's gone. And I think the day I accepted that I want to make films that probably leave an impact on people, and I am probably remembered 50 years down the line, and my children's children will probably watch the content that I made, and they'll proudly say that, your dada made it or your nana made it. I think the day I had this realization, I decided to leave everything else and I went to Bombay. But again, that's me. That's what I wanted to do with my life. I thought that this is what I need to do. So yeah, there is no clear heartfelt.
I don't have such a romantic story. I don't know, right? I get affected by a lot of things about, but I don't have a romantic story. I'll try and make your decision a little easier for you, right? That's all I can try and do. How many of you all have phones? All of you all have phones? How many people do you have on your phone directory? I have about 500. How many do you have? How many? 500. How many of them you speak to? Of the 500, do you speak to every month? 100. How many do you speak to every week? 10. How many do you speak to every day? Talk to those two people and ask them this question, and they'll give you the right answer. Nobody else is important. The problem with all of us is log kya kahenge? What will people say if I fail tomorrow? What will people say if I am doing all this but I choose to do something else? Nobody matters. You have 500 people on your phone. You talk to only 2 every day. Talk to only those 2. The most important thing. For him it was his father, for me it is my wife. That's not important. Nobody else is important. You will take the right decision. Because they're thinking for you. They're not thinking for anybody else. That's my answer.
Thank you.